Chapter 22. Knowing. I stripped off my winter jacket and boots at the door, and Sarah took my gloves and hat and placed them on a rack by the glowing wood stove. The house smelled like a sweet, smoky residue of the stove put out into the air outside. "Have a seat," she said, motioning to the couch, and she walked over to the kitchen and poured a mug of hot chocolate for me. "Marshmallows? No, too sweet," I said. I never liked them, and she smiled and joined me on the couch. The house seemed full. Not cluttered or messy, but every single wall had multiple pictures on them, of her and her dad from this year, all the way back to kindergarten, I suppose. I realized without saying anything out loud that I had never met her mom yet. I'd seen her dad in passing a few times now, so I blurted out, "Is your mom home from work too?" She paused, walking back from the counter with the cocoa, and took a second and then gave me a look of sympathy. "You wouldn't know, so I can't really be mad at you for bringing it up, but Mom passed away when I was 6. She handed me the mug of cocoa and sat down across from the 3-cushion couch from me. I felt like a total ass. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to ask. I just, like I said, you didn't know," she said, reassuring me. She had a brain tumor no one knew about. Not even her, I think. One day she just didn't wake up. I remember certain things about her, but I really wasn't old enough to deal with it. I miss her sometimes, but it's just part of my life now. She reached over the coffee table to the couch and grabbed a small picture frame from a collection that was nestled there. I had never really put it together that at church, her dad sat alone, and she had never brought it up like teenagers often do. "Here, she's the one in the blue dress," she said. "It was taken about a month before she passed." I peered into the tiny picture of the captured moment in time. A chubby-cheeked younger Sarah was flanked with what must be a picnic table by her dad, supporting a great mustache, and a beautiful woman in a blue sundress. She looked just like Sarah, but had older features, her eyes showing wrinkles like this as they smiled, with flecks of gray in the roots of her hair. "She's pretty," I said. "Looks a lot like you." "Are you saying I'm pretty?" she said, with a fake swoon in her voice. "Yeah, I guess so." We both laughed and let the silence drift naturally as I ventured first. "So what happened at the dance?" I asked, not sure where it would be best to start. "Well, you got beat up by a jackass I'd gladly hit with my car if I had a chance and an alibi," she said. "Not completely. Jay helped out with that a bit," I joked, trying to keep the mood light. "Well, Jay should have done more than just break that fucker's nose." "Actually, I think I did that part, to be fair. Jay certainly made sure it was broken by the end of the fight," I said. Not trying to brag, but bragging nonetheless. She giggled and then paused, trying to collect her thoughts and figure out where to start. I could see that she was really trying to concentrate, so I just sat there, waiting for the answers. "It started back in grade 10. Tony and his girlfriend Cynthia started dating after the Halloween dance, and after a few months, just before prom, she got pregnant," she said, taking a long sip of her hot chocolate between thoughts. "I take it that's not the whole story?" "Sadly, no," she sighed. "What Cynthia doesn't know is that Tony was double-dipping and seeing me on the side the whole time. We'd fool around on weekends, and he'd go back to school and spend the week with her. At the time, I was game to be his dirty little secret, and she caught wind of it, and they had a fight before prom that year, and Tony picked her because she was pregnant, and I got labeled the class whore for the year. And then Cynthia did, as word got out that she had had an abortion over the summer." "I see," I said. "Not really, but I really didn't. There was a lot of new and frankly disturbing information to digest. Tony had forced her into it. Took her to the States and paid for it privately. An $800 bill, apparently, if you're willing to pay that in American. And he was. Anyway, I was a wreck afterwards and stopped having sex with him because of it, so he dumped her. And I found her crying in the stairwell at school one day, and she told me about it, and she stopped for another sip of hot chocolate. The problem is you don't recover from something like that. She was going to have his baby, and they both did love each other, or at least were as close to love as they were going to get," she said. "And that's why they're still dating?" I asked. "Yeah, but it's a horrid relationship," she said. "It's always on and off again, even though we're friends. Me and Cynthia and his lifestyle and behavior keep us at odds, and there were a pretty sizable break when I thought was final before the dance," she said. "She said she was staying at home and that night on the phone, and so I came to the dance to make sure. That's why I was so happy when I didn't see her at first." "But then you saw her," I added. "Yeah, and after Tony grabbed me for a quick dance, I told him I wasn't interested in a love triangle anymore, and that I had found someone new. I think my heart hit my ankles when she said that. I was hoping the lie would kill the drama for once, and then she showed up, and I took her home before she did something stupid. Tony must have thought you were the new guy in my life. Since I took his toy away and you took his plan B, he took it out on you. This makes a bit more sense now, I guess, I said, just letting the facts settle a bit as I learned too much about the people I go to school with. But her telling me that the someone new was a lie didn't add up. I just hate how that guy operates, she said. It's one thing to fool around, but to force someone to kill a baby for your sex life, that's just wrong, she said. The BS we learn in sex ed is you can just fuck around and that no one gets to decide if it's wrong or not. And the truth is that condoms and birth control don't occur naturally. Call it God's plan or human intervention or whatever. We're not meant to go through this kind of stuff. Not in high school. Kind of like how babies aren't supposed to be born instead of aborted, I asked. I didn't want to talk about the really grim nature of the topic we were on, but Sarah had never talked to me like this before, and I liked her a lot. I didn't want it to come off as a flake. Not just that, she said. I don't know if I'm a pro-choice or pro-life. I'm only 17 and I don't have sex that much, she said. That much? I asked. Fine, at all, jackass, she said, playfully kicking me from across the couch. I just know what happened was wrong, and I'm really sorry. You took a beating because of it, and Cynthia and me, and this is all one big kind of clusterfuck. You certainly cuss a lot for a girl with such a high view of morality, I joked. I swear to God, Chris Weeks, I will make you wear that cocoa. She sneered from the back of a genuine warm smile across her face. Thanks for the dig out. Dad will appreciate it. Thank you for the dance. That convinced me to come, I replied. And we both smiled at each other and our eyes didn't dart out of the way. She slowly put her mug down beside her on the coffee table and kept staring at me. I put mine down too, in a fluid motion, and in a fluid motion that I can only describe as womanly, she crossed the couch and kissed me. Her lips were still warm from the hot chocolate she had just sipped, and hints of sweet chocolate drink collided with my senses as her mouth and tongue connected with mine. It was a deep kiss, too, more than just a friendly peck on the lips. A passionate kiss that came out of nowhere, hitting me like a beautiful freight train. Her hands slowly held and caressed my face, as mine held onto the damn couch, just trying to make sense of how we got from the conversation we were having to this. She finally broke away and almost sat on my lap. You're welcome for the dance. I will try to get beat up more often if that's what gets you there, I said, trying to be funny, considering the kiss was out of nowhere. Thanks, but I really didn't want to do that. It just seemed right, she said. Say what now? I was confused. Look, Chris, we're both seniors, halfway through our last year in high school, both probably headed to different colleges. She explained, I don't want to build a love life I don't already have plans to take down in September. And I don't want us trying to duct tape our lives together just because we're having to have feelings for each other. I wasn't going to end this year without finding out how you kissed. I just wasn't going to end this year without finding out how you kissed. So you like me, but you don't want to be in a relationship with me, so that's why you just kissed me, I said, still very much confused. Yeah, call me selfish, she said, smiling. Okay, selfish, I said, through a chuckle. And she smiled and looked around the room as if trying to find something to stare at that wasn't me, before locking eyes with me again. We are in a relationship, Chris. We're friends. We study together, we drink with Sean and Jay and Kylie, and friendships survive distances and time. Flings don't. I don't want to stand up like Tony and Cynthia, she said. So why even kiss me then? Because if this was 3 years ago before Tony and I got connected and it got complicated, I would still be kissing you. And if it was a year into college and we were in my dorm room, I'd still be kissing you. And you are a genuinely nice guy. And there aren't many of those around these days. And after seeing you get beat up and then ignoring you and then watching you slug snow for an hour because I broke my damn blower, I just want to say thank you in a way that was more than just token. But we're not in a way that will make next year worse for either of us. I couldn't tell if she was exasperated or on the verge of tears, but as far as emotions go, this was new territory for me. We sat there, a few moments listening to the fire crackle on the stove and looking for places to look. I just don't want to put a label on what we have to see it get changed or worse, broken when we graduate. Now is the worst time for both of us in our lives for a label to mean anything to either of us. A surprisingly smart idea following a dumb kiss, I said. God damn it, where were you 3 years ago, she said, half laughing and leaning back to her side of the couch again. I was in Toronto, I said sarcastically, as I could muster, pointing vaguely west. Look, it can be one dumb kiss. I'm not complaining. One's better than none, I said with a wink. So you understand, she said sheepishly, picking up her mug and trying to hide behind it. Oh, hell no. I said. I'm going to need Sean's notes to figure this one out. Ha! Like he knows anything how girls work. They don't run on code, she sneered. I understand, I conceded. Doesn't change how I feel about you or how you feel about me, just so you know. I don't plan on dating or trying to date these last few months either. And if later comes down the road you decide to change your mind for good reasons, not just because I'm devilishly good looking and you can't help yourself, she kicked me across the couch again. Then kiss me again like that. We can call it even. I will. Thanks, Chris, she said. You're welcome, I said, for the snow shoveling. And that right there, above sentence, I will, thank you, Chris, she said. It was the dumbest shit I have ever let out of my mouth. Guys reading this book, when a girl invites you in and kisses you because she likes you but does the smart thing and tries to make sure that you don't date because of how it might hurt later, kick the idea of being hurt later in the balls and don't take no for an answer. Don't let beautiful girls who taste like hot chocolate go so easily. And don't, for the love of God, think your life isn't worth the pain of complicated relationships. I left after a few more jokes and couch kicks, only to stew in my thoughts about how beautiful she was, and how good kissing her was, and how much my life must suck, that all the people I connect with, I find the one girl who's smart enough not to get messed up in messy high school love story with me. This book gets funnier and more entertaining. But for the life of me, the romantic ending flew away like the crows I chased every morning from my yard. Chapter 22. That one's rough. I hope you guys like it. Hope I got you hooked by this point. And if you want to read the book and get a copy like this, you can find the links down in the description below. And we will talk to you guys later. Take care.